Financial crime is huge, right? It's probably a $4 trillion problem. And the problem is that as an industry, we're not really good at it. You know, if you think about it, really only 1% of that is probably interdicted or stopped on a yearly basis. So when you think about the breadth of the problem that we're trying to solve, you know, it's people falling victims to scams, it's, you know, people who are perpetrating fraud against the financial institutions, but it's also things like human trafficking, you know, forced labor, all these different kinds of issues, you know, elder financial abuse. It's a big problem, and it's a wide problem, and that's what makes it so hard. So if we think about kind of our goal within anti-financial crime at Nasdaq, you know, trying to think about that purpose of being able to protect the world's financial interactions, anybody who participates in the financial system can fall victim to money laundering or to fraud. You know, it can be an individual consumer, customer. It can be a corporate. It can be the financial institution itself. All of these, you know, actors within the financial system can certainly fall victim to financial crime, which makes it such a big problem. If you think about the future of financial crime detection, I think it does focus a lot on the idea of financial institutions being able to come together to solve that problem. And that's as useful in fraud as it is in money laundering, as it is in surveillance, right? Every financial institution only has the visibility to see what's within their own walls. And every financial institution that you speak to, if you ask them what keeps them up at night, it's about the things that they can't see. It's about the things that are happening outside of their financial institution. So we've been strong believers in the idea of consortium type approaches to analytics, you know, using big data, finding ways to connect financial institutions together. And I think that's going to be a key way that we're going to try and solve the financial crime problem going forward at Nasdaq. So if you think about any Tier 1 financial institution, or any institution really in general, there's always a balance between catching financial crime and creating work within the financial institution, right? If a banker looked at every transaction, they would catch every instance of fraud, but we can't do that. So one of the ways that we've tried to think about the problem is you need to generate analytics, and you need to be really smart in terms of identifying financial crime, but you have to balance that and also not overload the financial institution with false positives. So when we think about some of the unique things that we've been able to do, you know, in our wire fraud analytics or in our payments fraud analytics, there's as much focus in those kinds of areas, you know, of reducing the number of alerts that we're generating, which reduces friction a lot of times for the end customer, right? You don't want the customer to have to wait to send their money or to have to receive 2 or 3 callbacks from a financial institution. If the analytics can actually clear the transaction and say that transaction is okay, a lot of financial institutions actually find that, you know, quite a bit of value with that, even compared to trying to identify and prevent fraud in the first place. So it's always a balance in terms of trying to be effective in terms of identifying the financial crime in the first place, but also still keeping that efficiency in mind when you think about, you know, not overloading a financial institution with a number of false positives. The better you are at identifying fraud without false positives, the more confidence you give the financial institution then, even to be able to take more automated steps on that, right? So we should be striving to get to the idea that fraud prevention is almost like an antivirus in a sense, right? You think about it, it just runs in the background, and it runs. There's still a lot of human intervention, even when we know that we're catching fraud or that we know that we're clearing transactions. But I think the more people become comfortable with these kinds of advanced technologies and these approaches like we're delivering, the more they will trust the system then to be able to take these kinds of actions on their behalf.